It's Christine Neese, and this is Coffee and Jesus, and I'm so glad that you have decided to join me today. This is Monday, the 17th, and we are in the afternoon of Monday today. So the morning kind of got away from me, so here we are. But today we're looking at Psalms 6, so I'm excited to get in, and so let's get started. We're sitting with this single honest line, really, from Psalm 6, verse 3 is what we're focusing in on here. And David is talking here, and he says, "My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord, how long?" I don't know if you've ever been in a season where you're doing the best you can and it still feels like too much. Well, if you have been there, you already understand the weight of that question. It's such a human sentence because no fancy theology, no polished speech, just an anguish in time. How long? Not is this hard, but when will it end? That's kind of what David is asking here. When is this going to end? So let's just jump right in. I want to read the entire chapter of chapter 6 because I think there's so much here. You can get a bigger picture. David writes, he says, "O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am faint. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord, how long? Turn, O Lord, and deliver me. Save me because of your unfailing love. No one remembers you when he is dead. Who praises you from the grave? I am worn out from groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. My eyes grow weak with sorrow. They fail because of all of my foes. Away from me, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies will be ashamed and dismayed. They will turn back in sudden disgrace." All right, so, this is what makes this psalm so enduring. He's saying here, it's a place of humility. It's a place of need. David is writing this under real pressure. Maybe, I don't know if it was sickness, maybe conflict, maybe both, but either way, it's the voice of someone at the edge of his strength. And what gets me is that he's not pretending he's fine. He's not trying to stay upbeat. He tells the truth. My soul is in anguish. And that's not just physical pain. That's the inner kind, the kind that gets into your thoughts and your sleep and your patience. And then he turns that pain toward God instead of away from him. That alone is a move worth noticing. When life hurts, some of us just shut down, or we isolate, or we try to power through silently. But David does the opposite. He prays from inside the pain. And further, he asks for mercy. He's not asking for a medal. He's not asking for a compliment for toughness, but mercy. There's a sense of vulnerability, like, Lord, don't crush me in my weakness. And he's basically saying, please, don't treat me as though I can handle infinite pressure. It reminds me that faith doesn't mean you never feel weak. Faith sometimes is simply bringing your weakness to God and asking him to meet you there. Well, there's another piece in this psalm that's easy to miss if we only focus on the anguish. David appeals to God's unfailing love. He doesn't bargain with God based on his own performance. He points to God's character. And that's such a key shift. When we're suffering, we can get stuck doing mental math. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I have done this multiple times. I try to reason in my head. If I've done enough good, then maybe God will help. Or if I've failed, then maybe I deserve this. Well, David turns his attention away from the scoreboard and on to who God is. And that's where his confidence comes from. He believes God has heard him, not because he feels better instantly, but because he trusts the one he's talking to. Now, there's a detail in this reflection on Psalm 6 that I find really helpful. When people are hurting, we often ask, why? Why did this happen? Why now? Why me? But in Psalm 6:3, David doesn't ask why, he asks how long. And that's a profound distinction. Why is looking for an explanation, but how long is looking for an end. How long quietly carries a kind of hope. Not a sugary optimism, but a belief that suffering has a limit, that there's a beginning, and somewhere out there is an ending. If you can ask how long, you're admitting that this is a season, not your forever. You're saying this isn't the whole story. It's also an act of surrender because you're acknowledging that you don't control the timeline. David doesn't know how many days are left in his trial, but he's placing that timetable in God's hands. And he's saying, you're in charge of this, even if I don't understand it. And that's the part that can really challenge us, because in hardship, we don't just want comfort, we want control, right? We want to know the reason, the schedule, the outcome. We want all the particulars. But we also want God to hand us the full plan. And then we'll decide whether we can trust him with it. But Psalm 6 pulls us toward a different posture. Trusting God with the outcome, even when we don't get that blueprint. And that's really a hard challenge. So let's bring this down to real life for a second. Think about the kind of seasons that make you say, how long? Maybe it's a chronic illness, a relationship that's strained, grief that keeps surprising you months later, anxiety that doesn't respond to a quick fix, workplace conflict that you can't escape, or even the quiet ache of disappointment. Prayers you've prayed for years. And when you're in one of those seasons, you might feel tempted to think, God must not see me. God must not care. Maybe he's not even listening. But Psalm 6 pushes back on that. It suggests that even in the mess, God sees, God hears. God is not confused by your honest prayer. There's also comfort in the fact that the Bible includes prayers like this because it gives you permission to be honest without being faithless, to say, I am not okay here, while still turning towards God. This isn't about performance. It's a relationship. And relationships can hold hard conversations. If you can only speak to God when you feel strong, then you're going to end up silent when you need him most. So what do we do with that question, how long, Lord? Well, here's one practice. Instead of demanding answers, bring God your raw reality. Try praying something like, Lord, I am overwhelmed. I don't know when this will change, but I'm asking you for mercy today. Give me what I need for this hour. That today part matters because sometimes trust isn't a lifelong vow you make once. It's a decision you remake in small increments, morning by morning, appointment by appointment, conversation by conversation. And that leads to a question I want to sit with near the end of this episode. Have you reached a place where you can trust God completely with the outcome, not just with the next step, but with where the whole thing is headed? If you have, I'd love for you to remember what that felt like when it first happened. That moment of surrender, when the anxiety loosened its grip a little, not because circumstances changed, but because you placed the situation into God's hands. And if you haven't reached that place, you're not alone. Maybe the more honest question is, what's getting in the way? Is it fear of disappointment? Is it the need to be in control? Is it the feeling that if you let go, everything might fall apart? Or is it simply that you've just been worn down for so long that trust feels impossible right now? Well, sometimes what holds us back isn't rebellion, it's exhaustion. And in that case, the next faithful step might be smaller than you think. It might be as simple as saying, God, I want to trust you, but I don't know how. Help me. Psalm 6 doesn't end with David stuck in despair. He moves towards steady confidence that God has heard him. And that's the arc, the anguish to prayer, the prayer to trust, not because the pain was imaginary, but because God's steadfast love is real. So if you're living in the how long right now, let this be your reminder. Hardship has a season. You may not know its length. You are not invisible while you wait. God is still in control. He's still attentive, still able to carry you. And until the season passes, keep your eyes on him. You don't have to endure perfectly. You just have to keep turning back one prayer at a time. How long, oh Lord, how long? Well, thanks for spending these minutes with us. If this resonated, take that one line with you today. And when the weight returns, let it become your prayer. not your defeat. Lord, have mercy, I'm hurting. How long? We'll be back next time. Until then, may you be strengthened with the kind of hope that doesn't deny the hard parts, but refuses to believe they're at the end of the story. And if you have a chance, go to Amazon.com or some of these other online bookstores and look up Pathlight to Praise, 150 Days in Psalms by Christy Neese, and you can grab your copy and follow along with us each week. All right, have a great week, and I will talk to you next Monday.